At some point in our lives, we are all going to die. It's inevitable. It's what makes us human. It's what makes us people, and not soulless, monstrous entities like corporations. So this is the top 7 games to play before you die. And before you say, well, isn't this kind of a clickbaity kind of show, especially the title? Well, you'd be right, because I spent all day working on the iPhone event thing, so I didn't actually have anything else for today. So strap in, hold tight, and take it from someone that's been on death's door, clawing at it, hoping to be able to let him to escape the pain, that before you go, you may as well check out these games. That being said, let's get it started with number 7, Fallout 2. Now, I've made an entire show highlighting exactly why Fallout 2 is a great game, which consisted mostly of just saying that Fallout 1 was a fantastic game, and Fallout 2 was Fallout 1, but more, better, expanded, extended, and in general one of the finest RPGs ever made. It is a superb work of art. It is basically something that you would need to have on you at all times, a box copy of it, to hit people over the head whenever they say that games are not art. Hit them over the head with a copy of Fallout 2. You're gonna die anyway, so why not? Because this game is pure art. It is. It is one of the finest results of the craft of game making. A game where you explore a post-apocalyptic world, where you decide its fate, where you interact in complex ways with different people, different ideologies, where you are presented with ideas that will make you uncomfortable, and you are given the option, the possibility of maybe changing things for the better if you are capable. Now, the reason I'm not putting the also absolutely excellent Arcanum of Steamworks and Magick Obscura here is because the combat in Fallout 2 is just flat out better, and you really want a good combat system for a game like this one. Number 6, Deus Ex. The thing you have to understand about Deus Ex is that much like the first XCOM was the final iteration of a very long process of developing an idea, so was Deus Ex. This is a game whose core started out with Ultima Underworld. It evolved through System Shock, through Thief, until its design ideas became as solid as they could possibly be. A game about freedom, a game about choice, a game that ingrains the ability to decide what to do for yourself within the level so well that it just makes other games seem like absolute garbage. It's also a game with a story that you are playing in a way that doesn't seem like it gives you choices at times, but you absolutely have choices. This is a game where your choices are defined by your actions, by what you actually do, not by a pop-up in a dialogue that lets you make a renegade move right now because you have 100 renegade points from punching a report in the face, or through just simple dialogue. It's a game that you actually play in every sense of the word. It is a treasure that you really should enjoy before it's too late. Number 5, Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Even though it's designed by Brian Reynolds, it's Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. It is a game that takes the idea of civilization, of building a civilization, you know, but in space. Well, not in space, but on an alien planet, colonizing a new world, one where you have the ability to not repeat the mistakes of the past, one where you will explore brand new ideas for the human race, one where you are confronted with many ideologies, not with the several nations we used to have before, where for some reason, a buggy reason, Gandhi used to go all mad and nuke everybody. You are confronted with opponents, with rivals, with potential allies, with friends even, that have distinct individual ideologies that you get to learn through interacting with them. You get to understand people by playing this game. You get to understand how they think. You get to see what the world could be were it led by different ideas than it is now. You also get to participate in a story that develops as you constantly grow your colony. A story that emerges both from what you do actively and what the world does to react to you. And it is amazing. It is a superb video game. It also lets you build giant bombs which can destroy the planet's crust and everything on it. Also, you can launch a solar shade to decrease water levels or just nuke the poles and flood everything. Odds are that even if you're not gonna die immediately, you will still not be able to see with your own eyes the colonization of an alien world. But you can through this game, because it's the kind of sci-fi that is actually well written. It's not sci-fi that just relegates itself to having some strange alien entity that shows up and goes boo. It's about what happens to the human beings. It's about how they react when confronted with the alien monster that goes boo, or just with themselves on an alien world. Number 4. Star Control 2. Speaking of sci-fi, I will not waste any chance, any opportunity to convince people to try this game. It's free in the Arcanum Masters version, and it is possibly the greatest space exploration game ever made. It's an adventure at its heart, it's got some combat, it's got a lot of dialogue, it's got some resource management, and at its core it is a game where you set out to form an alliance that would defeat an evil, galaxy-spanning empire. At least that's what you know on the surface. It's a game with a story that is so deep, with characters and concepts so completely sci-fi that it makes other sci-fi games seem like a really bad Star Trek ripoff. Sure, it may not be serious at times, it may be a bit quirky and, have some oddball moments, but that's just what makes this even more endearing, even more charming. It's not grim dark, even though the situation is absolutely grim. It has the right balance of seriousness, of levity, of strategy, of depth, and the ability to explore a big part of a very, very interesting galaxy. One that's not empty, one that's not just there for you to visit one planet and then be off. It is filled with life, filled with mystery, and with many, many opportunities to enjoy yourself. Because joy is something that you will very much cherish at the end. Number 3. Final Fantasy VII. Now, some people would say that this game is a bit overrated, but it's still one of the best this series has ever given us. It's a simple, well-told story with likable characters, memorable moments, a gameplay system that wasn't completely awful even though it's a JRPG, and a presentation that was amazing. And I don't use the word lightly, I mean, yeah, it didn't look great, but it looked well enough, it was distinctive enough, and the music, it just sold it. Final Fantasy VII was the well-told story with no problems in the actual translation, unlike the next one, of a man. Well, I can't actually tell you much about it, can I, without ruining it? Let's say that on the surface it seems like you're just playing a generic game where you fight against the evil corporation that's threatening to suck the lifeblood out of the planet, but it becomes so much more. Maybe not quite a lot more, but it uses its characters well enough that it becomes more than your garden variety JRPG. So you gotta try it. You really do. It's a very good game. It's probably the best in the franchise, and it's got a lot of themes about loss, acceptance, transcendence, and many things that may be useful to you in your final moments. Number 2. Anachronox. Imagine if someone outside of Japan made a JRPG. This is what Anachronox is. It's a game that uses the core structure of a JRPG with the same kind of a combat system, but kind of less horrible, and amps up the crazy, the lunacy, the fantasy, the fiction, the dream. Anachronox describes a universe that is ridiculous, and yet in itself it makes sense to itself. It is strange, bizarre, it's a wonder to behold, and much like the previous game, it is filled with characters that are very endearing. You don't play as the greatest space marine ever, you don't play as the last best hope of the universe, as a single remaining member of an alien race that vowed revenge upon the evil that blighted the galaxy that threatens to return. No, you play as a drunkard, washed up detective that gets pretty much suckered into doing a good deed. And every character you add to the party is more or less the same. Everybody's damaged, everybody's imperfect, everybody's fallen from what they used to be. Everyone is trying to reclaim something, or at least trying to make up for something that they did in the past. It's the story of people who stopped believing themselves to be people, trying to be people again, and in doing so, try and prevent the end of the universe. And it also is a game about loss, about dealing with it, or more precisely about not dealing with it, about not being able to 2 about suffering endlessly because of not being able to let go. And the reason you should play it before you die is because you'll have something to take with you wherever you go then, whatever you believe it to be. That being that you're not gonna know how the story ends on account of there is no Anachronox 2, which was supposed to close out the story. Well, it was supposed to be closed out in this game, but they cut it in half. And Tom Hall has still not written the book about how the story ends, even though it's been 10 years, Tom. It's been 10 years. I want to know how it ends, please. And number 1 is Ultima 4 through 9. The first 3, take them or leave them. They're fine games for what they used to be in their own right. But the Ultima series became something completely different, something more, something grander with Ultima 4. A game where you do not fight evil as a manifestation of a physical creature, an entity, a demon, a mad king, a wizard. You fight the evil within. You fight against the elements of humanity that always bring us low. You fight against your own vices, against your own immorality, in the hopes that this way you will set an example for others, that you will become a standard, that dreaming that impossible dream will inspire others to do the same, to become better people through your sacrifice, through your hardship. The series then goes on to highlight how this noble idea can be twisted and turned and savagely deformed, mutilated into a fascist dictatorship that values adherence to rules rather than compassion itself, than truth, than justice, than love. Then it goes on to show you that even the greatest things possible can be based on not just a lie, but on genocide. Then it goes to show you that all things comes an end. But to prevent that end, would you sacrifice what you have become? Would you sacrifice being an avatar of goodness to save your home world, even if that meant destroying another one? I know what you're gonna say, Britannia was not the avatar's home world. Okay, yeah, I get it. I misspoke. Would you do it? Would you destroy Pagan to save Britannia? Only at that point you're not given a choice anymore. Much like you're not given a choice of ending the series with something other than Ultima 9. That has been called at times a betrayal of the entire series, and it is. It absolutely is. And you can kind of see what they were going for with the ending by sacrificing yourself for the good of all, but Ultima 9 in general will at times make you want to die. So it is absolutely helpful to play it before you die. Right before you die. It makes things easier. You can also play the other things that EA has done in a series if you really want to look for reasons to not live in this world anymore. So closes the top 7 games to play before you die. I like to give a special mention to Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which is basically Deus Ex with vampires, that may give you that tiny hope of there being a smaller god out there, bring you into the darkness, away from the final death. And also to any popular competitive multiplayer game played after school hours. You will wish that life would not exist in general after about an hour. I guarantee it. Goodbye.